Our community suffers from a lack of obey. Just look at the statistics. Just the statistics of young black men. High school dropouts, very high. Arrests, very high. Deaths by a government agent, very high. Deaths by other young black men, number one cause of death. Why are those statistics so grim, so very devoid of success? One reason is that we stopped obeying children. Children no longer obey their parents at home. They no longer obey their teachers at school. Government regulations and threats have parents and teachers so scared to demand obedience that lawlessness reigns in far too many American homes and public schools. Our children don't obey police officers. You see, the young man wasn't taught to obey at home as a boy, wasn't taught to obey at school as a student. So now he doesn't understand authority. He doesn't understand that he must yield to authority. So a peace officer says, stop. That means stop right now without a conversation. Too many lives are lost simply because someone refused to obey the lawful command of a police officer. Too many times, the young man's response wasn't to stop. Instead, he responded, I ain't doing nothing. You can't stop me. Leave me alone. No matter what happens next, the young man has set in motion a series of events which too often ends up with a young man lying dead on the streets. And that series of events could have been avoided simply if the young man had been taught to obey. And therein lies our responsibility. We have created a society in which too many are not taught to obey. No obedience at home, no obedience at school, certainly no church, no obedience to the police. Romans 6:12-14. Therefore, do not let sin reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in its lusts. And do not present your members as instruments of unrighteousness to sin, but present yourselves to God as being alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness to God. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under law, but under grace. Love each other. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is fulfilling of the law. Obedience. Backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. We must teach our children to obey. At home, at school, in church, they must obey. They must recognize authority and yield to authority. Too many of our children are lost, but for obedience.